All right, you're trying to avoid the summer slump on Etsy. You're selling really well on the holiday season, fall season, but then summer approaches and it's just one of those times of the year that you're trying to just survive. But what if I told you to a lot of Etsy shops, summer is their holiday season. This is where they make millions of dollars. If you want to make money during the summertime and you want to really harness the trends, this is the video that you want to watch. I've sold a product that made $600 in sales on a daily volume within 40 days because I applied some of the things that I talk about in this video. By the way, how I opened that exact Etsy shop, link in the description below. If you have not yet checked it out, it is completely free. It is like 5 or 6 videos for free that you can check it out. If you are new to this channel, my name is Vlad. I've been selling on Etsy for the past 7 years and I've sold over 200,000 sales on Etsy just by myself. And I also manufacture for a lot of other Etsy shops, which is probably adds another 100,000 sales. And I know what I'm talking about when it comes to trends and really targeting certain sectors of Etsy, because I see it on the back end all the time. And I have a lot of friends that are top 1% shops that make millions of dollars during the summertime. So when it comes to really targeting trends properly, I'm gonna share that with you guys in this video because I do know a thing or two about that. Now, this is something that worked for me. And like I said, it worked for a lot of people that I know. So if you are in a separate area and maybe this doesn't work as well for you, make sure to comment down in the description below, be useful, be helpful in the community. So without any further ado, let's get started. The first thing people do when they want to target trends, because you're watching all these videos, you're watching, top 10 trends during the summer, and you're writing down the keywords and you're trying to figure out a way to apply them to your Etsy shops. The first mistake people make is that they just add keywords to their already existing listings. Why this doesn't really work? Because what you're going to probably do is you don't want to you don't even want to touch the SEO of good listings that are actually making you sales, and you shouldn't, because it's going to really throw it off and it's going to re-index your listing. Do not touch your good listings. What you're going to probably do is like, hey, I have this listing that barely makes any sale. What if I just change the SEO of that listing? I'm going to add all these trendy keywords. Problem with that is if they are a really low traffic listing, there's not going to be sufficient amount of traffic to go through that listing to signal to the algorithm that you're ready to compete for this trend. It's not going to happen, because what happens is people want to target the trends. There are hundreds of thousands of listings trying to target these trends already. You're not the first one to discover it, and they're creating exact listing to try to target, where you're just slapping keywords to a very dead, very boring listings that haven't done anything. Now, they're not boring in their design. I don't want you to feel bad about your skill set, but to the algorithm, that listing was boring. And so it's not going to really pick up traction because you just added a new keyword. Instead, what I would do is create a whole new listing for that keyword. And not only just for that keyword, because when people think about trends, they think about keywords. What if I told you trends are not just keywords? They're more than keywords. They're a whole vibe. They're a whole customer. They even go past the customer. They're a theme. And so what you need to do is research what the trend is for. For example, let's just say we're going to do beach vibes. Let's just say you engrave, or not engrave, but you sublimate towels, and you want to understand how can you approach this trend. When you start to research, I'm just going to make an example. Not that this is what the research is. Don't start creating an Etsy shop according to what I'm saying at this point. But let's just say it's for Airbnb homeowners, people that are trying to create this beach vibe in their Airbnb home to get better reviews. Maybe they're next to the beach or somewhere in the area of tropical or California, and they're trying to create this really beach vibe, because people from Washington State or Seattle, Rain City, coming to California already assume that it's beach vibe, even though the house might not be next to the beach, but they already assume that, and so you want to create that vibe. And so you want to understand what the towel is going to do, how it's going to hang with all the other stuff. So the way you find this out is look at the customer's other favorite things, look at your competitors and see what competitors do well. Maybe not even just in the towel area. You could look at other products and see what design, types they use. Maybe it's pastel, maybe it's neon, very party-like. What's the vibe? And then create a whole listing that target specifically that, because now you're focusing on relevancy. And if you've been a subscriber to this channel, if you're not and you're watching this video, make sure to hit the bell and subscribe. But what you're going to need to do with any listing is be relevant. The more relevant you are, the higher the click-through rate. The higher the click-through rate, the higher your rank, the higher rank, you get the point. The idea is to be relevant. And so when you understand your customer, they're more likely to click on your listing because you're more relevant. Okay, so but when you create the listing, you don't yet post, but you research your customer, design the listing, and then based on the design, what you've done, work your way back just a little bit, see if any other trend would also be appropriate. And this is how you do your proper SEO. Now, I usually say SEO is not the most important thing, which to some degree it is, or it isn't, but it's really important that you signal to the algorithm that you also want to touch up these points. Now, you don't want to dilute your listing too much because you are trying to really get into that trend and you've done your research. You don't want to really go too far out, but maybe you work your way back and you say, hey, beach towels for bridesmaids, or maybe they have a tropical theme. You can add that keyword, work your way back and see what other trends you can touch. This is going to improve your traffic. It's going to expand you a little bit. You don't want to expand too much. Again, you want to be laser targeted. Okay, so that's what I would do with that, the first part of trend is understand the customer, understand what it's going to be used for to have higher relevancy. The second thing that I would do is I would create 2 or 3 listings to target that exact customer, not different, trends. No, that customer, that specific trend. I would do 2 to 3 different ways. Now, I might do one pastel, one neon, one something else, because I'm trying to get a higher chance to win. Now, don't make 20 listings, just 2 or 3. Etsy will only give you a slot or 2 in that niche anyway. So you just want to have 1, 2 or 3. Don't make more than that. Now, if it's a bigger niche, if you're doing holiday season, like a Christmas season, sure, you can make a lot more. But if it's a trend that you're trying to explore, 2 or 3 is plenty. Okay. The next thing I would do, and this is what a lot of top Etsy shops do, or trends are very short-lived. They're not going to be there forever. Now, they might come back next year, or maybe they'll be extended a little bit past. Maybe they'll go into the fall, but they're not there forever. So you don't have that much runway to take off. And so what you want to do, this is at least what I do and what a lot of top Etsy shops do, is we go hard on advertisement and discount. Again, not everybody can do it, but really giving the incentive for people to click on your listing and buy will really signal to the algorithm that you're onto something, and it's going to give you a boost. And a lot of people that are really slow on their end of trying to get to the same trend, they're going to be way too late to even compete with you because you've already capitalized on the market or on the customers that came in for the trend because you really skyrocketed. So running ads really aggressively, running discounts, obviously within reason, but that really does help you take off because you're going to get more impressions because you get more clicks. And when you get more clicks, you get more, especially if you're more relevant, you're going to get more sales. And at some point you want to make sure that you're profitable so that you don't just sell and not profit during the trends. But in an earlier, season, I usually run it for 2 to 3 weeks on a very maybe sometimes not even profitable. I would sell probably after 2 weeks. I try to make sure I make profit, but it's really important that at least this is how I do it. Not everybody should do it. Comment down in the description below if it has not worked for you, but I could get a it's kind of like a plane taking off. If there's a short runway, you want to give it as much boost as possible so that it does take off. Hopefully that analogy makes sense. So you created 2 to 3 listings. You give it all the chance that you got in order for it to take off. And that's kind of how I target the trend specifically. Now, if you're targeting summer overall, have a list of trends that you're going to do this, okay? Have at least 5 to 10 trends that you're going to be targeting, right? Because you want to capitalize on the summer to find those trends and then do the same thing, replicate it again and again, okay? So this is really important. This is how we target these trends. Again, if you're new to this channel, welcome, subscribe. Until next time, you guys have a great one.